Your favorite beverage, take a seat with me. Let's have a conversation about some money.
Big bank, take little bank, 84s and candy paint. Trying to find some money, love. My Mackin game is top rank.
Okay, hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to Yams and Rams. I know I love that name. Anyway, today my drink of choice is the Poppy prebiotic soda because I'm preparing for 75 hard, which will be another video. But today we're gonna talk about living our best life through the means of budgeting, right? And just getting your finances in check, because your finances do have a huge influence on what the rest of your life feels like, looks like, what you can and can't do. You know, we all kind of know that, but today we're going to talk about the foundation of personal finance or financial freedom in reality, and that's budgeting. So whether you're saving for a dream vacation, whether you're paying off debt, or really just trying to stay on top of your bills, which is honestly the most important of all of them, quite frankly, at least I believe so. A good budget, I believe, is your best friend. So we're gonna figure out which friend is yours today. We're gonna talk about different types of budgets. I wanted to make this intro pretty quick and just tell you why budgeting is important. It's a GPS, a financial GPS. A budget tells your money exactly where it needs to go, so you know exactly where it went at the end of the month. You're not left thinking like, oh my goodness, why don't I have any money? What is happening? And I think I've been there before, and I know plenty of other people have been there before as well. You have a bunch of nothing at the end of the month, but all of your money is gone. And if you feel that way, it really produces unnecessary stress, you know, like, and it prevents you from making any sort of, I guess, progress towards your goals is the best way to put it, because you're so distraught about the fact that you can't figure out where your money's going. You don't want to budget. It seems so hard. And honestly, creating a budget helps you stay in control. It helps you avoid unnecessary stress. It tells you exactly where your money's going. And I think that's the first step for anyone towards financial freedom, because anything that isn't measured isn't managed. And I truly believe that. So we're going to talk about how budgeting helps you achieve financial goals, prevents overspending, and also gives you a peace of mind. And now that we've talked about why budgeting is essential, let's just dive into the different types of budget. First up, we have zero-based budgeting. And really, I'm just taking a look at my screen to make sure that I stay on task, because sometimes I'm not good at that. But honestly, the zero-based budgeting, and I'll provide an example. I'll probably just make myself a little square on the top so you can see what I'm doing on the screen, because I have each one of these budgets kind of like pulled up. But basically, a zero-based budget, it's great if you're someone who really loves structure and detail. With a zero-based budget, every single dollar you earn is measured. It has a place. You assign your income to expenses, savings, debt payments, and other categories until you reach zero. So this is an example of a zero-based budget. And this method ensures that you're intentional with every single dollar, but you have to be prepared to track your spending closely. So if you're someone that does not like to track your spending closely, this type of budget is not for you. If you're someone who may be a little bit of a control freak like me, there's actually another budget that you'll really like in this list as well. But basically, you can use something like YNAB, right? You need a budget. You can use an Excel spreadsheet, and I can provide one. If anybody, if you really want one, just drop a comment and I'll send one over to you. And then the next that we have here is the 50-30. 30-20 budget. And this is a budget that works for everybody, in my personal opinion, if you're not a control freak like I am a little bit. So the 50-30-20 budget, it's super simple and it works well if you're not someone who likes to micromanage your money. And the breakdown is this: you do 50% of your income goes to needs, 30% goes to wants, and then 20% to savings or debt repayment. And if you're someone who doesn't have debt, that 20% can be immediate savings. If you're someone who has already reached your savings goal, let's say you do 20% in investments, 15% in the stock market, 5% in your 401k. You can flip that, whatever feels comfortable for you. 30% on wants, 50% on needs. You can flip the 30 and 20 around if you're someone who has a really high level of debt. And that's currently like what I'm doing, but it's just in a much more complicated way that a lot of you guys do not need to focus on. But it's easy to follow, it gives you flexibility, and you just have to make sure that you know the difference between needs and wants. So for me, I really struggled with this type of budget because I couldn't figure out what I needed versus what I wanted. You need food, you need shelter, you need probably a car, you probably need gas. Needs. Wants, perfume. Unless you're in a job that you specifically like deal with people face to face, like if you're a flight attendant, makeup is a need for you. It may not be a want. So it really just depends on who you are, what you do, and how you do it. And it's really important to sit down and hash out your wants and your needs. And to not overspend on wants is very hard for a lot of us, which makes that budget a little bit difficult because a lot of us struggle knowing between our wants and our needs. Now, the next up is the envelope system. So I also use this system, and I use this for gas. I use this for like an emergency fund to get a month ahead on my bills. It's essentially old school, but it's effective, especially if you're a cash spender. If you're someone who goes to the ATM, you need to label these envelopes so that you can throw them into your budget online if you have one, or an Excel spreadsheet. It's basically you allocate different envelopes for each category. Like here I have groceries, car, hair, birthday, month ahead, content creation. And this is for me to just really keep track of, or to keep track of how much I'm spending on my credit card, because I will run that thing up immediately. So you allocate different things for expense categories like groceries, gas, or fun. And then once the envelope is empty, you're done spending in that category for the month, period. And it prevents overspending, it helps with discipline, and this is great for people who tend to overspend with credit or debit cards. Plus, it's a physical reminder of your limits, because how are you going out to dinner and buying something for $100 if you only have $40? This is great for people who overspend. Now, the pay yourself first budget is important. If you want to prioritize savings, if you're someone who has a big life event coming up, let's say you're pregnant and you're having a baby and you have debt, prioritize saving over paying off the debt, because you're going to need money for your baby. Or if you're someone who has to leave their job soon, it's important to save your money and not necessarily worry about paying off debt, because you need to make sure that you have money to live on. So basically, as soon as you get paid, you set aside a portion for your savings or investments before anything else, and then the rest goes towards your expenses. So it's perfect for building wealth and ensuring your future self is taken care of, but you have to make sure that you're covering your essentials as well. The line item budget is all about tracking every single expense, every single one. You buy a stick of gum, you put it in there. Everything. You create a detailed list of categories to keep tabs on how much you spend in each one. And a lot of companies will provide you something like this, like any sort of bank you have. Like I have SoFi Investments, it's one of the banks I use. And in the app on my phone, it actually shows me the categories that I've spent on, and then I go line by line and say, hey, like why did you buy that? Like, it really helps. It's ideal if you like knowing exactly where your money goes, but it can be time consuming. If you're someone that gets frustrated easily, this is not the budget for you at all. So what I do personally, my favorite way to budget is a profit and loss statement. So it's often used by accountants, which I'm an accountant, or small business owners. It's all about tracking your income versus your expenses. And then you do that over a specific period of time to ensure you're operating at a profit. And this method works really well for me because I have side hustles. I have a part-time job and I also do Uber. I'm obviously doing content creation. I help people create budgets and they pay me for that. Like, there are really small things that I do to like bring in money. And because of that, I need to make sure I'm operating at a profit. It doesn't make sense to drive Uber if I'm spending more money on gas than I'm making per month in Uber or something like that. You know, it's really important to pay attention to those things. So it really works for anyone who has any side hustles or variable income streams, right? It's like a health checkup for your finances. And this could be good for freelancers. I know freelancers is really hard for you all to budget, but I think a profit and loss statement really works well because you can see over this quarter, I've made this much money, I've spent this much money, I'm net positive, I'm net negative, right? So if we function that way, with a profit and loss budget, it really helps us to figure out whether our business is even actually profitable. Because yes, you made 10,000, but you spent 9. Did you really, you made $1,000. Like, you netted $1,000. That's how much money you have. And I think sometimes as freelancers or business owners or even people with side hustles like me, we think like, oh, the money's coming in. Yeah, but you spend an extra $400 in gas a month and you're only making $600. So do you want to keep doing that? The miles on your car, things like that. You have to think about all of those things. And this profit and loss budget is long term. So you can do it monthly. That's fine. Doesn't really make sense to. But quarterly, quarter over quarter, you have to see if there's like a large change in something. And you'll figure out what that is. And it'll be easier for you to cross that line item off your budget if it's something you do not care about. Now, there is a man named Ramit Sethi who came up with what he calls the conscious spending plan. And he has this book called I Will Teach You to Be Rich. I love this book. You should love this book. We should all love this book. Read the book. Read the book. Read it, okay? So the conscious spending plan is what I believe most people should function under. If you're not a type A, if you're not someone who needs to control everything, and you're someone who feels like a little stuck in your finances and you feel like you're not having the joy you're looking for, but you're spending all your money somehow on things that aren't necessities, a conscious spending plan is really important to you because it's about spending money on things intentionally, I guess. That's the best way to put it. That matter most to you. Like, you prioritize your values and cut back on areas that don't bring you joy. So this is for, let's say you have debt. You can still do this conscious spending plan. And you're someone who wants financial freedom, but you refuse to take all of your money and throw it at debt and not live your life. If you're one of those people and you want to sort of pay off your debt slowly, and financial health immediately is not your biggest concern, I think a conscious spending plan makes the most sense. It teaches you, let's say you're someone who loves cars and you don't really care about where you live, but you love cars. You'd buy a house that's maybe not the biggest, not the nicest, or maybe you don't even buy it all. Maybe you rent a studio apartment, but you drive a Lambo. You care about cars more than you care about where you lay your head, which is totally fine. You don't need pomp and circumstance in that specific category. If you're someone who prioritizes your physical health, you will pay for the gym. You will pay for massages. You will pay for like any sort of gadgets you need to run. You'll pay for races. You'll pay for personal trainers. You'll pay for healthy food. But you don't really care about clothes. So that category for you is typically 0 until you need to replenish something. If you're someone who prioritizes weight loss, you would sort of be the same way. If you're someone who prioritizes a home, maybe you don't care about what car you drive. You have an amazing McMansion, right? Little baby mansion or whatever. And then you drive a Toyota Prius from 2012 until it dies. And then you go buy another used car because you don't care. It gets you from point A to point B. Or if you're someone who loves to shop. You love vanity is your thing. Being vain is your thing. I respect it. You're not going to have a category for necessarily spending your money on, I don't know, textbooks or, you know, schooling or something like that. You have to focus on what's important to you, and your budget should reflect that. And in this book, he talks, and obviously this isn't sponsored because I have like 9 subscribers. Like, let's be serious. But in this book, he talks a lot about writing out what your rich life looks like and taking some time and really saying, in the future, I want to prioritize this. And for me, I can only speak for myself in this video, obviously. For me, that is building a home, buying a nice car, and that's it. And I'm sorry if you guys hear something in the background. That is family. They never shut up when I need them to. But for me, that's the house, the car, my education. And that's really where I'm at. A wedding, sure, whatever. Like, we'll pay for one if it ever comes up. A child, I want to make sure that if I decide to have a child, my priorities are going to shift. But your conscious spending plan is what you care about right now. And for me, that's furthering my education, building a home, and getting a better car eventually. And when I say better, I mean like after this thing conks out, right? So obviously my focus is going to be on retirement and down payment savings and paying off any debt. And my budget will reflect that. So when you sit down and you write out your rich life, you say, what rules do I have for my life and how is this going to work for me? Like, personally, if a flight is over 3 hours, I'm flying business or first, right? Some of y'all don't care about that. Some of y'all are like, I'll sit on a plane for 18 hours in economy. Not me. I am large. You understand? So if it's over 6 hours, it's first class, period. If it's over 9 hours, it doesn't matter because I've already had 6 hours. We are definitely getting first. Hotels, they matter to me. It matters where I stay. Some people travel like, I don't care where I stay. We're not gonna be in the room anyway. I'm not your friend on this trip. We're friends in real life, but on vacation, I'll see you when I see you, right? So if we can prioritize that way, we can prioritize the same way in our budget. And just take a look at your life and say, what rules do I have for myself? And does that align with where my money is being spent right now? And it's great if you want to enjoy life while being financially responsible. It's all about balance. And this is exactly what this budget is about. Take me another sip, child. All right, so some people do not care about line items. They do not care about percentages. They care about net worth. Finally, you have like last but not least, I guess. Last but not least, we have like the net worth calculating budget is the best way to call it. It's about understanding the bigger picture. Like, you track your assets, like your savings, your investments, your property, and then you subtract your liabilities like debts and calculate your net worth. And this method will help you focus on long-term goals, long-term wealth, really. So let's say you have $50,000 in assets, $20,000 in liabilities, your net worth is $30,000. I use multiple of these. I use the conscious spending plan. I use the net worth calculating budget, and I do the net profit and loss. I keep saying net profit and loss. The profit and loss statement. And those three are how I try and keep myself financially balanced, because I am someone who can get one track minded. And when I have all three of these and I need to fill out all three of these at the end of every month, it reminds me, like, Alyssa, you care about furthering your education. Why are you spending money on this? You care about losing weight. Why are you spending money on this? And even with this net worth calculating budget, it reminds you, like, hey, bigger picture, your debt to income ratio needs to be a lot lower in order for you to receive a home, in order for you to buy or build a home. And it's basically, the net worth calculating budget is really just perfect for setting financial milestones and then, like, keeping your eyes on the prize. Like, sometimes we lose our way. Sometimes we really believe, like, hey, I'm doing a thing. And then you look back six months from now, you're like, wow, I didn't do anything I wanted to do at the beginning of the year, because a new goal kept coming up and you kept forgetting about the old ones, the ones that really mattered to you. So there you have it. We talked about like 8 different types of budgets to choose from. And just remember, it's not like a one size fits all approach. The best budget is the one that works for your lifestyle and helps you reach your goals, you know? So just let me know in the comments, you know, which budget you're currently using or planning to try. And just don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video with anyone who needs a little budgeting inspiration. So just until next time, just stay fab and financially savvy. At least try to. Also, before I go, this is again the start of a new series. I'm really just gonna be doing this in tandem. Everything that I do, I'm gonna create a video about how I do it. The posting schedule, I'm not entirely sure about. I might do like a Friday and then a Sunday. I think that might be the best option, but just every Sunday, I definitely am gonna be posting financial tips. And I'll also start doing my payday routines. I think that will probably help a couple of people to see how I move my money around. I'm also available for any questions. I am an accountant. I just sometimes get irresponsible with my own personal finances. So if you all need help from me, feel free to reach out. It's free, obvi. So.
She said take your time.